In the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a boy named Sammy, and we see him approaching a church with a lot of bloodstains in his shirt and with a broken guitar. As soon as the pastor of the church, Jedediah, sees him, he welcomes him and tries to pray to God for his son's sins as he believes that Sammy has committed sins, and this has led to his present condition. The scene cuts to a day earlier, and we are shown a cotton plantation, and we get to know that Sammy and his family work in that plantation. We see him looking at the sunset and the cotton fields with dreams in his eyes to grow up and lead a different kind of lifestyle. Next, we are shown two brothers, Smoke and Stack, returning to their hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi after spending time in Chicago, Illinois. They have amassed a considerable sum of money working for the mob there, and make a deal with a local Clarksdale landowner named Hogwood to purchase an abandoned sawmill and turn it into a juke joint. The two brothers warn Hogwood that they are willing to defend their property from the clan, if necessary, but the old man claims that they are overreacting. With plans to open the juke joint that very evening, the twins next pay a visit to their uncle Jedediah and recruit his son Sammy to play his guitar at the joint. Jedediah does not approve, but Sammy goes along, promising to return for the Sunday service the next morning. During the journey, Sammy asks the brothers more about life in Chicago, to which they reply that it is the same as Mississippi, but only with taller buildings. This upsets Sammy as he had high hopes about that city and had long wished to go there. At the end of the trip, the trio retrieve a truck full of Irish beer and Italian wine, which they had stolen and hid before their rendezvous with Sammy. This shows us that the brothers have already committed the sin of stealing from others. Smoke expresses his wish to open the joint the next week as a lot of preparation needs to be made, but Stack insists that they had to open it that very night, giving the justification that such a beautiful day is ideal for people to gather and enjoy. Smoke agrees, and hence, in order to save time, they split up, with Smoke traveling to the city to buy necessities, and Stack and Sammy are given the task to recruit people to play music and to find a doorman for the joint. Stack takes their car and Sammy. During the ride, Sammy plays a tune for his cousin, and Stack is very impressed by his talent. Sammy asks him about his childhood, but Stack reveals that his father used to beat him brutally without any reason. One day his father had knocked him out, but upon waking up, he saw Smoke burying the dead body of his father. Their journey takes them to the local train station, where they recruit local musician Delta Slim. During this time, Sammy is intrigued by a married woman named Pearline, whom he invites to the joint. Stack gets into a tight spot when a former lover of his, named Mary, confronts him. Though now married, she confesses that she still has feelings for him and expresses her disappointment, as Stack had ghosted her without a reason and never came back. Stack shows no signs of remorse and instead asks her to leave. But when Mary informs him about her mother's death, he is shocked by the news. Following these events, the three men head out into the cotton fields to recruit a man named Cornbread to be their doorman for the evening. He denies his services at first, but upon some encouragement from his wife, he agrees to do the job. Meanwhile, Smoke takes the truck into town, where he makes a deal with local Chinese grocers, Grace and Bo Chow, to supply food and to paint a sign for the juke joint. He next pays a visit to his estranged lover, Annie. After paying his respects to their deceased daughter, he returns Annie a mojo bag which she gave to him years ago for protection. After doing some hoodoo to strengthen its protective powers, Smoke asks Annie to come to the joint to help at the bar and to fry up catfish. She denies at first, but after Smoke opens up to her about his feelings, she eventually agrees, and the two share a tender moment before heading out. The scene shifts to a man named Remick, whose skin seems to burn, and he hurriedly comes under the shade of a small shack. He bangs the door relentlessly, and after some time a married couple, Bert and Joan, open the door and are surprised when they see a man claiming to be chased by Indians. The couple are armed and are suspicious of the man, but when the man offers them gold in return for shelter, they finally agree. This shows us how greedy the couple are. The couple hide the man, with Joan driving off a group of Indians at gunpoint. Once they leave, she goes upstairs but is horrified to find her husband lying motionless on the floor and Remick giving off a wicked smile. His eyes were shining red, and he had fangs which were terrifying. She finds that Remick has turned her husband Bert into a vampire, and within a few moments he gets back up on his feet, giving a wicked smile, just like Remick. She gives off a loud shriek and soon shares his fate. We understand that the sun has set, and being vampires, the trio will become more powerful. Eventually, the juke joint is officially open for business. However, things quickly get testy When the brothers argue over some people paying with plantation tokens which can only be used at stores the local cotton plantation owns, which Smoke soon estimates will eat heavily into their planned profits. We see people arriving at the joint and Pearline also arrives, which brings a smile on Sammy's face. The two start talking, and we see that the joint is becoming lively with people enjoying themselves with drinks. Things also get testy when Mary shows up. Stack orders her to leave, but she refuses, claiming she wishes to be with her family and friends. Sammy decides to impress Pearline, and soon he gets to perform for her, as he and Slim play a tune. The song proves to be so full of life, it seems to transcend time, and what Sammy is playing permeates through every soul in the juke joint. Following the performance, Remick, Bert, and Joan show up at the front door of the joint, requesting to come in and join the party. They claim they want to play music for the crowds and are willing to pay, but Smoke suspects that they are here to cause trouble and refuses to let them in. Here we get to understand that unless the vampires are invited in, they cannot enter someone else's property. After ending the performance, Sammy and Pearline lock themselves inside the room and make love passionately. Stack calls for him, but upon hearing moaning sounds from inside the room, he understands what is happening and does not disturb them. The scene cuts to Smoke confiding in Stack about their financial problems, and he informs him that buying the sawmill has left them in a dire situation and they will run out of free cash in 2 months unless the joint is successful. Stack confides in Mary about his and Smoke's financial situation. Wanting to help, Mary wants to go to the 3 people who were just casted out, Remick, Bert, and Joan. Stack shows his disapproval, but Mary insists on getting the money from them to help Stack and Smoke. Seeing her stubbornness, he hands her a gun. Mary goes to talk to the 3 who have not gone far. They show her some strange gold coins, but when Remick reveals what he is, she gets frightened and takes out her gun. She asks them to leave the venue and turns around to get back to the joint, but is also turned into a vampire by Remick. Mary then returns to the joint and asks Cornbread to allow her inside, and an unsuspecting Cornbread invites her in. She then seduces Stack with a dance and pulls him into a side room. They start to make love, and even though Stack sees her drooling, he does not object. This is when she promptly bites his neck, making him bleed out. Smoke calls for Stack for some work-related matters, but upon getting no answers, he goes to the room and opens the door. He is shocked at the sight of him lying in a pool of blood and Mary biting his neck. He immediately takes out his weapons and shoots at her. She falls to the ground, but after a few seconds, gets back up on her feet. She smiles, and with her glowing eyes looks at Smoke and threatens him that she and her new friends are going to kill everyone present at the venue, and laughingly rushes out of the building. Smoke tries to save his brother, but Stack's wounds are too severe, and after a few moments, he takes his last breath. Following these events, they lock Stack's body in the storage room and stop the festivities, telling the guests to leave. Everyone leaves the venue without knowing the danger that lies ahead. Grace insists on heading home, and Bo Chow also heads out to start up his family's car. During this time, Slim had taken over door duties from Cornbread, who went out to take a leak. While taking a leak, he hears distant murmuring and gets frightened. We understand that he had also fallen into the traps set by the vampires, and they have successfully hunted him down. Cornbread soon reappears, but asks to be let in. The others find this to be strange behavior and refuse. When Cornbread asks for his payment, Smoke hands the money through the open doorway. But Cornbread grabs his hand and tries to bite, but before Cornbread can do so, Smoke shoots the man. Upon seeing him still moving, those inside the joint lock the front door. Suddenly, Stack's voice is heard from the storeroom, demanding to be let out. Annie cautions Smoke not to, but Stack bursts through the door. She then throws some water with garlic on him, scalding Stack and sending him rushing out the front door. Understanding the seriousness of the threat, they seek Annie's advice and she asks them to gather garlic, wood, and silver. She adds that although she had never come face to face with such monsters, she has heard stories about them. She tells the group that they need to wait till sunrise as vampires cannot come out during daytime, as it will lead to them burning to death. It is soon revealed that Remick has turned all those who left the joint some time ago into vampires, along with Bo. Remick claims that he is mainly there to claim Sammy, and that his musical skills may be able to help him connect to something he has been searching for. He also tries to entice the others, claiming that becoming vampires will give them a connection and a belonging that the living world denies them. Smoke is adamant that those inside will not hand over Sammy, and Grace grows frightened when her turned husband claims he is willing to turn their daughter Lisa. Following the talk, Smoke believes that if they kill Remick, everyone else, including Stack, will be saved. However, Annie reveals it does not work that way. Anyone who is turned must be killed by sunlight or a stake through the heart. The goal becomes to hold out until dawn, but Remick and his followers begin to make horrifying sounds, eventually causing Grace to snap and demand they come in and get them. Those inside do what they can to fend off the vampires, but soon Grace, Pearline, and Annie fall. Before Annie can be turned, an emotional Smoke stakes her as per her pleading. In a valiant move, Slim sacrifices himself, so Smoke can escape with Sammy, only for the two to be confronted by Remick and Stack. Smoke attempts to deal with his brother, while Remick follows Sammy outside, attempting to turn him. Sammy does what he can to fight off the evil creature, eventually breaking his guitar over Remick's head, with a silver portion of it cutting into his head. This causes all the other vampires to scream in pain, and we understand that the creatures share a physical connection. On the other hand, the battle continues between Smoke and Stack. Although Stack is a vampire, but Smoke, being a seasoned soldier, uses his skills to outmaneuver his brother and hold a wooden stake near his heart. Just as Remick was about to kill Sammy, Smoke appears and stakes Remick, causing him to vanish in a pillar of flame. Sammy and Smoke have managed to survive until dawn and watch as the rest of the vampires burst into flames around them. Smoke gives Sammy his brother's car and instructs him to leave town before pulling equipment from his truck. Remick had mentioned that Brett was the son of the local clan leader, who is actually Hogwood, and Smoke is fairly certain that Hogwood and his followers will show up. Smoke prepares himself and brings out his machine gun, which he had hidden some time ago, and waits for the incoming threat. His hunch proves correct, as before long, Hogwood appears with several men reach there, ready to cause trouble. Removing Annie's mojo bag, Smoke ends up ambushing them, wiping the men out, but being shot fatally in the standoff. Just before he expires, Smoke sees Annie and their baby. During this time, Sammy returns to his family's church, where upon seeing his bloodied and damaged state, his father urges him to renounce his love of the blues. Instead, Sammy takes off in the brother's car, with the remnants of his guitar clutched in one hand. Time passes, and it is revealed that Sammy became a famous blues musician. Following a performance in Chicago in 1992, Sammy is visited by Stack and Mary. Stack reveals that Smoke let him live after Stack promised that he won't harm Sammy, and he and Mary escaped from the juke joint all those years ago before the sun rose. Stack also senses that Sammy will die soon of old age and offers to turn him into a vampire, but the old man refuses the offer. Stack also confesses that they have been following his career over the years and would like to hear something from the old days. Sammy gives in to their request, pulls out his restored guitar, and plays for them. In a final parting moment, Sammy confesses that although he still has nightmares about that evening, up until the sun set, it was the best day of his life. Stack agrees, as it was the last time he saw his brother and the sun, and confesses that it was the only time he felt truly free. If you like this recap, please hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, and like this video. Please also check out the other videos on this channel.